I am making a tuna lettuce wrap. This is a great workshop recipe. I find that all senior clients love different ways to eat tuna. And tuna happens to be a particularly good lean protein, high in omega-3 fatty acids. So it's a great thing for you to promote. It's also something that keeps easily in their cupboards, and they can keep one on hand. It frequently goes on sale at the grocery store. It's an easy item for seniors to have. And it actually also comes normally in a pretty small container so that if they're at home alone, one can of it is 1 or 2 meals, right? You should always recommend to them that they buy the tuna that is packed in water and low in sodium, if they can find it. One word to you about your workshop in general, though. Make sure that you have really read your online prep list for all of your ingredients and all of your materials list and your talking points about nutrition, because the better prepared you are for your workshop, the more successful it is going to be. You're going to be able to be much more flexible when you're up doing it. You may not have made the recipe before. If you can, that's a great thing. If you haven't made it before, at least read it very, very carefully and strategize how you're going to do it in real time so that you know when you get to your workshop that you have it set up in a way that's going to make you really successful and look confident and just be easier for you. It's always a good idea to engage your senior clients in any way you can. Look at the talking points in your lesson plan. Look at the ingredients that you have in your recipe. Make sure that you have a couple of questions planned for the senior clients that will engage them in case they start to lose some interest. And also there's usually 1 or 2 things that you can identify ahead of time that you could enlist them to help you with. Whatever you do, you just want to be able to engage them as much as possible so they feel like they're part of it, and also you've really got their attention. So you're always going to drain the tuna no matter what it's packed in, whether it's oil or whether it is water. And hopefully you will have a can opener that works better than mine. So open your tuna and make sure that you are draining off most of the water. If it's not low sodium, you definitely want to, but you don't need the water or the oil in your recipe. So we're going to use 2 cans of tuna in this recipe. You should know ahead of time, hopefully, how many people you're cooking these recipes for. And you're going to get an idea of how many times you want to make the recipe. You may be making this recipe times 4 if you're going to have 12 or 15 people, right? So here's my 2nd can of tuna, and my can opener wasn't working that well. So that's actually a good reason to make a note for you guys that you may want to open the tuna before out of the can and drain it ahead of time. It's a good thing to remind the seniors that they're draining it, but they don't have to see you do it. And if there are other parts of the workshop that you designate when you're reading the lesson plan that would be helpful for you to do ahead of time, like opening the tuna, draining it, do that. That's an important thing, and will be different for all of you. So make sure that you do what's comfortable for you prior to the workshop. The main thing is that you have really read every detail of the workshop and are comfortable with it so that you don't get in the middle of it and you've forgotten something, okay? The next thing we're going to do, now that we have our tuna drained and open, we're going to make the dressing for it. This dressing calls for 4 ounces of yogurt. Now, we're using yogurt in this tuna recipe. Obviously, traditionally, mayonnaise is the tuna accompaniment. We're using yogurt because it's a great source of protein. It's got a huge amount of flavor and tang, and it's much healthier and lower in fat than mayonnaise. So I would point that out to the seniors and get their feedback when you let them taste it. Say, how do you think this compares? Are you missing the mayonnaise? I mean, we make a lot of things here at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House with a combination of yogurt and mayonnaise. We do a healthy ranch dressing, we do a tartar sauce, we do tuna. So we use part and part. So now we're going to add to our tuna a tablespoon of Dijon. So you're going to mix that up, and that is actually going to add some nutrients in the mustard, and it's going to add some salt and an enormous amount of flavor. And then we're going to chop up onions. We're using green onions for this recipe because they're a little milder, and it should be really nice. We're also going to add raisins to this recipe. So I'm going to put this in with the tuna, and then we're going to put a 1/4 cup of raisins. They don't need to be chopped up, so they can go directly in. I would say that a box of these raisins is about exactly a 1/4 cup. Raisins are really high in fiber, and they have plenty of nutritional value, and they're sweet, so that it adds a kind of sweet, salty component to your tuna fish. The raisins are particularly good for digestive health, and all dried fruit creates good digestive health and helps everything move right along through the digestive tracts. Nuts are also a great source of protein and a healthy source of alpha-linolenic acid. So they are good for brain function. They're good, they actually have some protein in them, and they help repair cells and tissues. There are a lot of benefits to walnuts. So this is quite nutrient dense, what we have here. We've got our tuna, our raisins, the onions, and the walnuts in your salad. And now we're just going to add the sauce and stir it up good. Today, and this is something that seniors may not have tried before, we are going to, instead of having this on a cracker or bread, we're actually going to roll this in a butter lettuce leaf. Now you can use any kind of leaf that's large enough to roll a spoon or two of the tuna into. I'm going to put just a pinch of pepper. I will assume that it's got a lot of flavor from the Dijon mustard and the yogurt, and it doesn't need, especially with the raisins in it, adding some sweetness, it doesn't need any salt in it. And I would say for a snack, we're going to put 2 tablespoons, and it gets rolled up. Now, if someone were having this for dinner, I think you could engage the seniors in a conversation about how they would eat this. They could have, this is 2 cans of tuna. They could have 2 or 3 of these for dinner or for lunch in the summertime. It would be a perfect lunch, right, with a bowl of soup. If they're looking for a whole grain snack, they could always put it on bread, but I think this is a really nice way to make them try something different, right? To roll up anything that they might be thinking, from the garbanzo avocado mash to the tuna salad, to roll it up in a lettuce leaf. So that is this dish.